steel, many legends told of his balls of steel. You better listen up.
Never had a care, never worried who was there. He just looked you in the eye, and like a tiger hunting prey, now he decides, oh, if you live or if you die. Try to run, but there's no place to hide. Well, his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's a little bit insane, don't give a shit's his middle name. When he's got you in his sights, that's when you must wisely choose your demise. Oh, do you flee or do you fight? But you won't have much time before he strikes, because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. Because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's coming to collect, so you better kneel. Show your respect for his balls of steel. They play a tune like a glockenspiel. Nothing he can't do with his balls of steel. His blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel.
Balls of Steel by T-Bone. Welcome to the show, everybody. That is a little song that Mr. T-Bone wrote and recorded for his best buddy, Deke, who's going to be co-hosting the show with us tonight. And what a show do we have for you tonight. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. I did that out of order. That's the middle album. Andy Curran from Coney Hatch will be joining us tonight. Deke and myself. Mr. T-Bone wrote that song for Deke because Deke has literally balls of steel, and he will ask anybody to be on the show. He asked Wolfgang Van Halen to be on the show. He will ask anybody. But Mr. Andy Curran was kind enough to say yes, so we were so excited to talk to that guy tonight. Back in my high school days, the song No Tattoos was a bit of an anthem, especially for my buddy Bob Shipper. No Tattoos was his anthem. No tattoos, gotta stay cool. My mama never raised no fool. That's how Bob felt about tattoos. T-Bone, the Legend of T-Bay. Now, for those of you who showed up early, thank you very much, and your time is not wasted. I am going to show you something very cool. Starting with this one here. Peace of Mind Tour. Andy Curran opened up for Iron Maiden on the Peace of Mind Tour. But what I have here with me right now is a complete set of Iron Maiden reaction figures. Complete. And when I say complete, I'm you'll see. So, Peace of Mind Eddie. Stranger in a Strange Land Eddie, which is slightly different from Somewhere in Time Eddie. He has a different head, slightly different paint apps, and a coat. Got those two. Live After Death Eddie. Flight of Icarus Eddie with flamethrower and wings. That would have been, again, a tour that Andy Curran was on. The Beast with lightning wings and a tail. Killers Eddie. Aces High Eddie. Power Slave Eddie. The Trooper Eddie, again, that's the tour that Andy Curran was on. And last but certainly not least, the Transparent Twilight Zone Eddie, which is my personal favorite of them all. I have a thing for transparent figures. I think they're just so cool. But that's not even all of them. That's just the ones that you can get at retail. I don't know when I'm going to unbox this, but here are all of the Super 7 exclusive Eddies. We'll get into that. I'm not going to open any of those, no. But, okay, so hang on. These come in a case, just like if you were buying baseball cards back in the day. They come in something called a blind box. And I have a couple examples here, actually. The remainder of the figures, which are rare variations, you can see 4 there and 4 there. They come packed in these blind boxes. You don't know what is inside. But they do guarantee that if you buy a full case, you will get all 8 of the rare figures. There's a glow-in-the-dark one, I believe. There's a couple transparent ones. A lot of really cool variations. So, with that box there, and the ones to my immediate right, I have all the Iron Maiden reaction figures. I just don't know when I'm going to unbox this. It would be a shame not to do it live. So, it depends on how much time we have at the end of the show. I may unbox them at the end. But that will be a complete set. There's, I believe, 12 boxes in there. And in those 12 boxes are 8 figures. And then, of course, you're going to end up with some doubles. Just like when you're collecting baseball cards. That's the catch. I'm really looking forward to opening that, though. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I do have some open samples. I bought 3 blind boxes, not a case, but I bought 3 blind boxes on their own. And if you look behind me, you can see I have a Power Slave Eddie, an Aces High Eddie, and a Killers Eddie. They are rare variations. The Power Slave Eddie is supposed to look like it's kind of carved in stone. The Aces High Eddie is wearing camo, whereas the regular retail version is wearing like a brown flight suit. And then the Killers Eddie is splattered with blood. The regular retail version does not come with the blood deco. So I have opened 3 from a prior purchase, 3 blind boxes, and those are the figures that I got. So now that I have a full case, I will definitely have all the rest, plus a number of doubles. As for what I do with those doubles, I'm not sure yet. If I'm going to resell them, or give one away as a prize, or whatever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how many I end up with that are doubles, and how many I end up with that are still sealed by the time I have to get... Oh, what is holding the shield? That, my friend, holding the shield up there, directly behind me, is Stan Lee with the Captain America shield. And hello there, Heapster69. Always nice to see new people on the show. We are just about ready to go here. I'm going to go ahead and run the show intro theme song, and then we're going to be joined by Mr. Deke, my co-host, and, well, you know, the guy who got Andy Curran on this show in the first place. So let's run the theme song, and then we'll see Mr. Deke.
Ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut to go. All aboard.
Hey, Deke, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks.
Good.
Are you excited?
I'm pumped, man. This is going to be a good one.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I hope it's not too personal. But are you with Andy Curran on no tattoos, gotta stay cool, your mama never raised no fool, or are you in fact inked?
No.
No tattoos, or no answer?
No tattoos.
Okay, all right. Thanks to Andy. Perhaps his words of wisdom when you were a younger Deke.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I guess so.
I mean, back then, remember Motley Crue? They had all the sleeve tattoos and everything. So yeah, but I think you have to be a cool rocker guy to pull something like that off. And
Funny you should mention that, because my buddy Bob Shipper, who loved the song "No Tattoos," he that came out shortly after the Motley Crue videos where they had the full sleeves and everything, and he hated that. He hated the Motley Crue tattoos. So when Andy Curran came out with no tattoos, he felt like he'd found somebody that actually spoke more for him. You know? Yeah,
that's funny.
So,
but yeah, it's going to be should be a real good chat talking to Mr. Andy Curran. So yeah, there we go. The usual cast of characters are tuning in, which is good.
Yeah.
And hello to everybody else that is checking us out for the first time.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the
This
show.
is called the LeBrain Train. This is Mr. Super Deeks here, who we call Balls of Steel, because, like I said, he will just, out of the blue, ask anybody to be on the show. And, like I said, we're very, very, very fortunate that Mr. Curran has agreed, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him tonight. And they've got a live album that is due, I guess, basically next week at this point.
Yeah, I look real pumped forward to getting that one for sure. So
Hello, England. Hello, Sarah. Yeah, so the live album, we saw photos earlier this week on Carl Dixon's social media. The album's called Live at the El Macombo, and they were signing the copies.
Yep.
Each one. So you and I, we pre-ordered back in October or whenever it was, and I think we both ordered the vinyl.
Yep.
But either way, we should have copies in our hot little hands by this time next week, I hope.
I would be thinking so. I mean, I paid Canada Post their extra $15 to get it here. Idiot.
Hello, jolly old Canada.
So yeah,
Yes, sir.
It's going to be. Yeah, I look forward to hearing that. I mean, I've been waiting for a long time to hear some live Tony. So
right, like this is their first ever live album.
Yep,
and that's kind of unbelievable for a band that's been around since what 1982. You know, and I don't know what the bootleg market was out like for Coney Hatch. Maybe Andy will have an idea, but you know, it's not like you could walk into a record store and find a bootleg Coney Hatch live album the same way that you can today with like radio broadcast Aerosmith albums. You know, it's just not going to happen to find live stuff of these guys.
No, there's one show I'm going to talk to Andy about and see if he has any recollections of it. So I don't want to blow it right now, but you're right though. There was hardly anything back then on those guys that had anything out live whatsoever. It was their 3 studio records, and that was it.
That was it.
So they didn't cash out on 15 compilations, 15 greatest hits, 15 live albums, 15 this, 15. Like so many bands do. So, yeah.
One compilation. One.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That is it, yeah.
It's very unusual for really any band that's got a history like Coney Hatch to have a catalog that has not been exploited.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy.
Hey, we have... Oh! You know who that is? That would be Dan Fila from Svengali in Varga. Hello, Dan! Thanks for checking us out. We're just waiting on the arrival of Mr. Curran himself. Hard Rock in Sheffield, South York. A couple years ago, news had just broken about Coney Hatch. They were supposed to be headlining. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no kid.
Saw Jason and the Scorchers, though. Well, hey, at least you saw somebody. Guinness time. Well, in England it might be Guinness time, but in Canada it's coffee time. It is Nespresso time. And in another show of Canadiana, we are also drinking Tim Hortons Peach Passion. And if you haven't tried this, folks, this is some pretty amazing stuff, I'll tell you that. Tim Hortons Peach Passion. Hey, Jeff Stevens watching. Hey, Jeff. He really likes your business card keeps adding new alter egos. Yes. Thunder Bay Arena Rock. Deke is the man. And like I said, we are just waiting on the arrival of Andy. I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but that's okay. That's okay. This album is his debut solo album from 1990. And this was actually... I remember these videos getting a lot of airplay in Canada. No Tattoos and License to Love in particular.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really appreciate about Andy's style is he really has sort of like a knack for a catchy lyric. And those two singles right there, you know, Who Gave You a License to Love is such a brilliant hook. Really away with words on the lyric writing stuff. And does Andy Curran get enough credit for his lyric writing? I don't know. Maybe that'll be another question for him tonight.
Yeah,
he's also known for writing lyrics for, another big namer. He wrote the lyrics on a number of songs on these two CDs here. He also wrote lyrics on, I think, Ain't Life Amazing and Greatest Hits as well. I just don't have them handy. Brilliant lyrics on this album here. Absolutely brilliant lyrics. And I think one thing that struck me about this is how emotional the lyrics can get on this album. And I don't know how easy that is to do when you're writing for another artist. But the questions are boiling. They used to play monkey bars on the Barrie radio station all the time, Rock 95. The Crows stands for Country, Outlaw, Western, and Southern. Jason and the Scorchers were a bit funny about the Crows tag. Hey, hey! The new Svengali EP, incidentally, that Dan is on, is freaking great. Svengali 3, it's called. And that's another band with a great drummer. But Andy's worked with we were talking earlier offline, he's worked with a couple of great drummers that I personally am a big fan of. Wanted to ask him tonight about Glenn Milchum, who played drums on his 91 solo album. And has been with Blue Rodeo for 27 odd years now. A long time he's been with Blue Rodeo. And Randy Cook, who played drums on one of his more recent projects, and the name is escaping me right now. He played with Randy Cook on that. Randy Cook played on this, and he also played with the Four Horsemen. And going for full circle, we had Dave Lismy from the Four Horsemen watching last week's show, which was kind of a thrill.
Sorry, I'm just texting somebody here.
No problem. We shall get Andy on the line. The first 3 Coney albums have been reissued by Rock Candy with bonus tracks. These are fantastic reissues. Full color booklets with extensive liner notes, interviews, the full story for each album, and bonus tracks. You know how much I love bonus tracks.
You do love bonus tracks.
And that first album is freaking great. I don't know how much I want to spill the beans, but I'm rather new to Coney Hatch. And I never really had a lot of exposure to them back in the 80s. Probably really my first time hearing anything Coney Hatch might have been Andy Curran's solo debut with No Tattoos.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really all of this is... Like you're an old hat at this. If I said to you shake it, you probably know exactly how it goes. For me, these are all there. You go. For me, these are all brand new. I'm just learning how these songs go, and I've already got some favorites for sure. But hearing these 3 and the solo debut all in one shot in such a short span of time, I've just been slammed with all these tunes. Mike bonus track Ladano.
It's great. I mean, by Andy, I mean, reissuing his Leisure World and the Caramel record and this Coney Hatch stuff. I mean, we're going to get into all of that. He just sent me a message, so we're just trying to get him on here via the StreamYard, so watch for him, Mikey.
There's always a technical kerfuffle.
Okay. He said he's going to Facebook now.
Oh, so, is that where you sent him the link?
Well, I just told him to click Facebook in Messenger, and you'll see the link to our chat, and he'll hop on. Yeah, so we're good.
Awesome.
Sorry, that's why I was pretty distracted. I can't.
I
listen at the same time.
That's I'm proud of myself.
What?
I'm proud of myself for managing to talk all that time without any feedback. Also, hey buddy, if you ever want to appear on the show, send me a message. I'm sure that Deke and I would have plenty of Sven Varga questions for you.
Yep.
I saw Dan, actually. I don't know if you follow him on social media. He played a drum cover of Tom Sawyer. No, not Tom Sawyer. It was Subdivisions. He played a drum cover. Was that
nice.
ever cool? Yeah. That was really cool. I loved his stuff when he was in Varga. You know, I was into the heavy stuff when Varga dropped their debut.
Varga. What was their
Freeze! Don't move.
What was the guy's name in there? Was it a name after somebody?
Yeah, Joe Varga.
Joe Varga. And what was their single off that?
Freeze, Don't Move.
What, they have another one? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, they did. Freeze. I believe it was. Well, it looks like Mr. Curran is just about ready to join us.
Nice.
What do you say we roll out the welcome wagon?
Sure.
Let's do it.
The LeBrain train is proud to present Andy Curran.
Darn impressive, boys.
Hey, are you in a vehicle?
I can't hear you. Am I on mute for some reason?
No, we can hear you.
I can't hear you, boys.
Okay. Testing. Hello. No? Nothing? Could be your Bluetooth.
I think we've got some technical difficulties here, fellas, because I can't hear you.
Darn. Okay.
Dang.
What do we do? I have never had this happen before.
No. We can hear him fine.
Yes.
I'm going to try my headphones just in case it's the speaker, but I don't think so, guys.
Okay.
1 second here.
Trying headphones.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, now we can't hear you.
No, yeah, we can't hear you
now. We can't hear you. I have run into that problem once before. It happened when I had a pair of headphones. If you have a pair of headphones with a built-in microphone, that will work. I know that because I've had this happen with me before, but I can't hear Andy.
No, we can't hear him now at all.
Deke, maybe can you shoot him a message and
sure. What do you want me to say?
I don't know the only thing I can think of is if he has a pair of earbuds with a built-in microphone. That's the only thing I can think of. Hang on, I'm getting a private message here. Guys, I can't hear you. Sorry. Do you have a pair of earbuds with a built-in microphone? This has never happened before.
Yeah, try logging off and maybe getting back on. Try that.
Okay. His headphones do have a microphone, so this should work.
Yeah.
I don't know what the issue is.
First time we ever had a technical glitch.
Yeah.
So stay with us, folks. We'll try and get this resolved.
Okay, Sean. We have Sean Kelly on tech support. Get Mike Fraser to fix the audio.
Cheers. Oh, man. That's awesome.
The only time this ever happened to me was when I was streaming on my phone, and there's only one jack. So I had to have either a headphone or a microphone, but I couldn't plug in both, so I had to buy a headphone with a built-in microphone. The only time that ever happened to me. And that was back when I was streaming on a phone.
That might be the issue too. Could be the phone as well. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to stream from a vehicle. Okay, we're going to try again.
Okay.
Device is not connected, it's saying. Yeah.
What about if we all try logging out and logging back in?
I can't, because that'll kill the stream.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I can remove myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely live without a net tonight, folks.
He can see us, but he has no audio.
And we can't see him.
Yeah, we can't even see you. Yeah, people are telling us not to log off.
Oh,
I'm really sorry about this. This has never happened before.
Yeah, no kidding.
This has never happened before. Okay, he's going to try a different device.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Andy.
Okay, so I'm gonna
bailing on us.
No, thank you. I'm gonna. Okay, so the Andy that can't log in, I'm gonna boot him. And then hopefully we'll get him back on a different device. The first StreamYard failed. It happens, technology. Thanks for your support, guys. Really appreciate your support, your patience.
Yeah, just hang on. Just hang on, folks.
Just hang on.
Get it going.
Just hang on. I swear to God.
We get this.
This is a great album.
Be worth it.
This is a great album.
And let's give a quick shout out to this guy. Can you guys see that?
Does that say Sean Kelly?
It says Sean Kelly. Let's give a shout out for Sean. I mean, Sean's a guy that we're going to get on this stream at some point, but he's a very, 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 very busy guy. But that guy
he's got that new Lee Aaron. He's got that new Lee Aaron coming out.
Yeah, he just oozes rock and roll coolness. So it'll be a blast to get him on and drill him because he's got a lot of rock knowledge as well. So
yeah.
Hey, Sean, thanks for logging in and thanks for shooting us some tech support.
Another thing that Sean is extremely knowledgeable about is Much Music videos. You remember when I started posting my my Power Hour videos, and I was like, I can't remember the name of this VJ, and he'd be like, that is Natalie Dorman. It's like, wow. But then again, he has written a book on music. He has written Metal on Ice.
Metal on Ice. Yeah,
okay, Andy is trying again. I don't have a picture. I don't see a picture. There we go. We have a picture. We can see you.
Hey, Andy.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now, guys. I can hear you.
Success! Success! I'm so sorry about these technical kerfuffles.
This is super low. This is super lo-fi. I'm doing it from myself. Sorry, boys. I have no idea what's been going on.
I apologize. We honestly swear to God this has never happened before. But thank you for your patience, Andy. I really appreciate that so much.
Hey, no worries. And we're doing it from my little mobile traveling office here. I'm calling you from my car parked out by Lake Ontario, but you can't really see it behind me. But it's a beautiful day here in Toronto, and I'm happy to be on with you guys.
Thank
that's
you
awesome,
so much.
Man. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'll just say earlier I was talking to possibly a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Drew Masters from Meat Magazine, and I was telling him I was a little bit nervous about tonight, and he says, "No, man, Andy is one of the nicest, most knowledgeable guys in rock. You're going to have a great time."
And sorry, it just cut out there. Who are you talking to, Mike?
Mr. Drew Masters from Meat Magazine.
Oh, yeah, man. I go way back with Drew. My favorite story about Drew and Meat Magazine, I'm going way back, boys, to like 1992 or 91 or something. And he calls me up and he said, "Hey, man, I want to do an article on you and congratulations on winning a Juno Award. And I want to do an interview." And I said, "Oh, cool. Yeah, no problem, Drew." And he goes, "But I want you to interview yourself." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you're gonna come up with all the questions and then you're gonna answer it yourself. I think it would be an interesting angle." And it was kind of funny because I thought up a bunch of questions. Okay, what have people never asked me before, right? So anyway, I just happened to be digging through a bunch of stuff during COVID, and I found that Meat Magazine article. And Drew, and I thought, okay, is Drew being lazy or is he just getting me to do something different, right?
Well, that's awesome.
Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Deke because I know he had a million questions.
Hey, Andy, how's it going?
Really well. How are you, man? How are you, Deke?
I'm good. It's so great to talk to you. We just have a lot that we just want to pick your brain on. I mean, going back to the Coney Hatch days.
You know what, Deke? We were talking about the live album. Oh, he's got audio problems now.
No,
we were talking about the live album, and I saw on Carl's social media you guys had signed him. I cannot wait. I'm really excited. How does it feel for you? This is your very first live album after X amount of years. That's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? Is my audio okay, guys? Can you hear me all right?
Yours is fine.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because you guys are a little crackly, but I'm getting the gist of it. But no, I got the question, in terms of, I think it's odd so many years later that we're actually, finally doing a live record. And the reason that I'm excited about it, guys, is because I think originally, going back to when Kim Mitchell saw the band playing in the clubs in Toronto, that energy and that sort of chemistry that the band has live is originally what excited him. And the first album is a great representation of how Coney Hatch is live. No slight to Max Norman, who produced Ozzy Osbourne and Bad Company and a bunch of great bands, Loudness. When we did the second and third album, in my humble opinion, the sound and the spirit of Coney Hatch started to get way too slick, way too polished, way too sort of commercial. And one of the things that I tried to do on Coney Hatch 4 was bring it back to the sound of the first record. So to answer your question, I'm really excited about the live record because it's a true representation of what Coney Hatch is. 4 on the floor, double guitars, bass and drums, in your face, loud guitars, not overly clever, not clever is the wrong word, but not overly intricate arrangements, and just like balls to the wall in your face. And the other thing I'll tell you that's been quite enjoyable about it is we're working with a fellow by the name of Jay Jolly, and he has a company called Liquor Donuts here in town. And he was like, "Dude, why don't we work together and do this like a true bootleg?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Do you ever remember seeing the Cars live at the El Macombo?" And I said, "I actually own that." He said, "Well, that cover was a rubber stamp on the front. It said the Cars live it at the El Macombo, and then you take out a little leaflet and it says the song listing in there. So not that we were trying to, rip them off, but we literally rubber stamped every single copy of Coney Hatch vinyl, signed it. I signed it first. I put it in a Purelator pack, sent it up to Dave Ketchum. He signed it. He sent it off to Halliburton. Carl signed it. Carl drove from Halliburton to Toronto, gave it to Sean Kelly, and then my daughter helped me stuff the records in there, and we put like a sticker on every one. So you couldn't get more personal, from the band being hands off to stamping them to working with Vic Florencia, and the presentation bootleg. It's very limited, and we had a blast doing it. So there's an emotional attachment to it. I know that's a long answer, boys, but it's long overdue, and we're pretty psyched about it.
Hey, Andy, I've been waiting for a live Coney album since 1985, man. So God bless you. I'm finally getting it out. And not only that, but you got a second live album in the can as well, right? We do. And so what happened was, when we played in Germany a couple years ago, Carl didn't tell me in the band that he had hired somebody to bring in a Pro Tools rig and record us. And I think he did that for a variety of reasons. One was to not spook the band and go, okay, there's a red light on recording us, and oh my God, like we can't make any mistakes. And and the other one was when we were out with British Lion and Steve Harris, I had brought up the idea. I was like, guys, we're playing 5 shows in 6 days. This is a perfect time to record us, and we can do multiple shows, and we can fix the mistakes and all that kind of stuff. And for a variety of reasons, that didn't happen. So after we finished the show in Germany at Ludwigsburg, Carl said, hey, by the way, guys, we recorded that whole show. And so we brought it home, and we worked again with Vic Florencia, and we mixed it. So we literally have another one in the can. The set list is slightly different than the one at the El Macombo. And for any Coney Hatch fans, it's we jokingly said it's kind of like a mini best of. The radio songs are on there. We spent a lot of time selecting the songs from every single record, so you'll have some from Out of Hand and Friction and Coney Hatch 4. So it's a nice cross section of everything. But I'm not too sure what we're going to do with the Germany one. We're talking to a label in Los Angeles right now about a potential bundling of El Macombo and Germany, and maybe some video footage from the El Macombo to see what we can come up with. So stay tuned on that, boys. That's kind of like a TBD on that one.
Nice. Is that an exclusive?
That's an exclusive. You heard it here first.
There you go, folks. Contacting Blabbermouth tomorrow morning.
Andy, I wanted to ask you about the live stream itself. That was great value for $9, by the way. I mean, it was a killer night of rock. I mean, you guys, it was done so professionally well. I mean, the camera angles, like when Sean was soloing, it was on him. When it was on Carl singing, and Dave and yourself, and it was so good. It was like so pro. And when you guys announced it along with the record, I told Mikey, I said, Mikey, if it's the time to get into Coney Hatch, it would be now, because we got to order this double live vinyl, because these things are going to go like hotcakes. So,
Are you sure you want to tell Andy my dirty secret that you just revealed there? Andy, I apologize. I'm actually, after X amount of years, I'm brand new to Coney Hatch.
That's okay. Late bloomer there's nothing wrong with that, Mike. That's okay. Come on along for the 40 years later.
I'm telling you, man,
it is, right?
Better late than never. Better late than never.
Yeah. Well,
and also,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just I love it. I love it. It's a brilliant album.
Oh, then I call that the No Tattoos record, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But to answer Deke's question, first and foremost, I want to say, for anybody that's listening that actually put money down and for that the vinyl record, I want to thank everybody for their patience, because with COVID, everything sort of like the world as we know it, everything got backlogged. So by the time we mixed it, sent it to the vinyl manufacturing people. There was a backlog to actually get the sleeves and the jackets and the poly bags, and it was just like, oh my God, this is, lots of people were emailing us saying, hey, when's the record coming? I can honestly tell you in full honesty that everything's done. Our merch company is mailing out starting, I think they might have even started this week, but people will start to get their package very, very soon. And then it's up to Canada Post. They can't blame Coney Hatch for that. But,
Nope.
Playing at the El Mocambo was a real treat. And we had no real plans to do any kind of live stream. And Michael Weckerly, who is the CEO there, is a friend of my younger brother, John. And he kept harping on me and calling me going, Andy, Coney Hatch has got to play the El Mocambo. I know you guys played there in 1983, and what will it take to do it? And so we worked out a deal very quickly with Mike, and part of the arrangement was, and part of the allure was that they're filming and recording. They're filming in 4K and they're recording in 90 high-res audio. So what you saw and what some of the other fans saw was the highest quality of audio and video that you could potentially get from a live stream these days. And we were quite excited about that. And part and parcel of it was we knew that we could go back and remix this thing and finally get a live record. So like I said, we hadn't played at the El Mocambo since 1983, and that ain't your daddy's Elmo there anymore, man. That venue is unbelievable. It is state of the art.
We're getting a couple questions here about the live album. Can you still buy one, and where?
So the answer is yes. The best place to go, if you feel like waiting, is do it on the Coney Hatch store, and our merch company will get back to you very quickly. We did a limited run of them, and so I'm trying to think, boys. I think we might have done. Originally, it was only going to be 50, and we might have bumped that up to 100. And those are the signed copies. And then our merch company is now got some interesting requests from record stores to say, can we order a copy? So there's a couple of record stores in Toronto here that I believe are going to carry the non-signed version of it, but it'll be very limited. If anything, I think at the moment it might be capped somewhere around 300 copies, and Rock Paper Merch is exactly what the name of the merchandise store. So yes, there are still copies left. There'll be limited signed ones available.
What's the cover on the unlimited version?
The unlimited version is the best way to maybe differentiate is, let's call the signed version the one that's exclusive from ConeyHatch.com, and the unsigned version is identical in every single way, without the signatures, without the number, without the tag that shows that you've one or two of 150 or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't. Our merch guy kept pushing me, going, don't do 50, do 100. Don't do 100, do 150, and it just kept going up and up, right? But everything will be identical in terms of packaging, with the exception of the signatures.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Well, I think I got my order in under the wire, so I think I'm good for the signed.
Yeah, I told Mikey,
Yes.
I said, get on it, man. Get on it. You got to get on this, man, because it's so good. I tell you right now, Andy, I mean, it's going to be nice. It's going to be a definite upgrade from my Coney Hatch Blu-ray of you guys playing the Nob Hill Tavern from '83.
Wow.
Which is a 19 song show, and it's the audio is actually quite good. It's actually up on YouTube, and I mean, obviously between the tunes you can hear somebody going Nob Hill, man, Nob Hill. But your sound actually comes through quite good. And the cool thing about that was you guys were playing tracks that ended up being the bonus songs on the CD reissues down the road, like Fly On, or Draw the Line. Like, you guys were playing those tunes. So why, if you don't mind me kind of going back and forth here, why were those songs left off of Friction? Because they were great tracks.
Yeah. That's a good question, Deke. I think, when we approached all of our albums, there would always be quite a lot of songs to choose from, and really it would have been kind of a jury selection between the band and the producer and the label. So any of those songs that you mentioned that may have been hanging around, I know on the Rock Candy reissues, we dug out some old demos, like we were playing.
Oh, we froze.
A song called Dream
There we go.
on. It's okay. There we go. We've got all these old demos that we're talking about resurrecting, but it really was more of a vote in terms of which songs made the records.
Yeah, is that what the one tune you did? You guys don't do it on the Knob Hill, but it's on the first Coney album, Sin After Sin. Such a great song. You got to bring that. You got to bring back Sin After Sin. That is such a great track. That's my request.
I'm getting a thing that's saying Andy's mic isn't connected.
Uh-oh. Yeah, he's on mute.
No, I can't unmute him. It's saying his mic isn't connected.
Oh no.
I don't know what happened. Maybe Andy, try logging off and then back on again. If you can hear me.
Have you got me back yet?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Little choppy, but we're okay.
We're choppy. We're in choppy waters.
I think it's the cell phone. Sorry about that, guys. But I heard something about Sin After Sin. What was the song that you said there, Deke? Sin After Sin. Yeah.
Sin, yeah.
That song was definitely inspired by all the years of listening to Saxon and Judas Priest and all of those types of bands. I was wearing my influences proudly on my shoulder there on that song.
Yeah, no kidding. So to go back, I don't know how far back we want to go here, but do we want to start in with some of the Coney? Is it okay if we kind of grill you on some of the Coney Hatch albums and then work our way into what you're currently doing with all your solo stuff? Is that okay? Or
hopefully he can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Deke, that was pretty choppy. I think you mentioned, how far back did I want to go? You guys throw whatever you want at me. I'm happy to talk about it all.
Well, I think Deke wants to start here.
I definitely want to start there. I'm going to tell you, Andy, that when you guys put out that debut record in 1982, I was 15. I was a very impressionable youth, and album covers were a big thing. In 82, Judas Priest with Screaming for Vengeance, Maiden with Number of the Beast, and Music Express, I seen the ad for Coney Hatch. And I bought that record, and I just love the fact that you guys went full out on that record and no ballads. Like, not one single ballad on there. That thing just totally rocks from start to finish. I mean, I think the slowest song on there is probably Love Poison, if I'm thinking right. So, and that's not really a ballad. So thanks for letting. I just still love that record today.
Well, thank you for saying that. And we very rarely had any sort of balladish songs. I know To Feel the Feeling was probably the closest that we had to that. But I'll just flat out, I'm a knucklehead rock guy, and that's usually not in my vocabulary to slow down or do anything that's kind of sensitive or anything like that. It's just like, if I can kick you between the legs or get you straight in the forehead, that's usually what this guy brings to Coney Hatch. And that was the interesting dynamic that we had. Everybody brought something, but again, I think that's just indicative of the live show, and Kim wanted to bring that out. There wasn't very much, there wasn't anything subtle about Coney Hatch. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it's just like, boom, here you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that record has it. Boom. Big boom. But so now I read this fellow, you might know him.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of him.
I've heard of him. I read the book because basically it's a lot of Coney info in there as well. So Carl talks about, like, you guys recorded a ton of demos for the first record. Or will those ever see the light of day, the ones that you did with Kim Mitchell?
I think I got that, Deke. I think you were asking about whether any of the demos that we recorded would see the light of day. I think that was the question. And it's again. I'm going to bring up our Greg over at Rock Paper Merch, and he's been just poking me in the ribs, going, "Come on, I know you got some demos. Let's put together this definitive package. Let's, and there's a few really, really cool people that I've met over the years that said, we want to hear everything. And it's hard because when you're in a band, you kind of dismiss those demos. You kind of maybe look at them and go, I guess they weren't good enough to make our records. And that's probably why they're not on the record. And then you've got someone like yourself saying, come on, man, I want to hear that. I want to hear those songs that didn't make the first record. So we are discussing about that. We are discussing it.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's cool. I'm a bit of a bonus track junkie. If I get into a band, I don't want to just buy an album or 2 albums or 3 albums. I want everything that band has ever done. So I'm kind of on that track now with Coney Hatch. So keep it coming.
And
it's funny.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Carl and I both have a little bit of pack rat syndrome. And I'll call Carl and go, hey, guess what I found? And then Carl say, oh yeah, I found this too. And he came across the live recording of when Coney Hatch played the Cleveland Agora, and it was one of our very first ever shows in the USA. And It was a very odd show because they had this program on WMMS, the rock radio station there, called the Coffee Break, and we went on stage I think at 11:30 a.m. in the morning, and I had I'm used to getting at that back then I was used to getting home from parties at 11 a.m. in the morning, right? Not get on stage. So that was a bit of a crazy one for us, and to walk out on the stage in Cleveland, and they were playing the crap out of Devil's Deck at that time, and it was a packed house. There was 400 or 500 people at 11:30 in the morning waiting to see Coney Hatch. And we have recordings of that, and we're talking about, well, why don't we clean it up a little bit? Why don't we remaster it? Because that was a place in time when the band started the Rocket Ride. So we've got quite a few recordings, live recordings, that we're talking about dusting off. And at the top of the list would probably be the Cleveland Agora show from 1982.
Wow, that would be pretty cool.
One thing that Deke and I were discussing earlier was that your catalog has not really been exploited with reissues the way that other bands have been. What about even an updated greatest hits?
Hey, I'm sorry, Mike, you cut out at the end there. You said, what about, can you tell me that one more time?
How about an updated, remastered greatest hits?
Yeah, and for anybody that's not in the music business, I can tell you that that's an awesome idea, but the difficulty lies within the appetite for someone at Anthem Records to actually let us get our hands on that. We would have to go back and say, can we pull the old master tapes out of there? We want to remaster them. With Ray Daniels, the manager of Rush, who was the original owner of that label, and he's not involved anymore. So literally, sadly, any of the people that were involved with Coney Hatch when it started are no longer at Anthem Records. So it's a bit of an uphill battle in terms of doing that. And it's funny you mentioned it, because I said that to a friend of mine, and he was like, okay, well, screw that. Why don't you just re-record them? Go back in and give us a 2021 version of Monkey Bars, So there's no shortage of great ideas, Mike, on that one. But that's a bit of an uphill battle to get our hands on the original tapes. That's
Gotcha.
Probably the biggest issue.
Thank you.
So staying on with the debut album, I think you have said it, and Carl has said it at times, that when that record came out, you guys shot off like a rocket. There you are going on tour with Judas Priest at the time, which was mega.
Yeah.
Carl writes about it in his book when you guys got down, I think it was Seattle, and all those M80 fireworks were going off around you guys, and you guys could hear it backstage before you went on and stuff. What a crazy time. you guys survived that tour.
Yeah, and it's my memory. That's a long time ago, right? And my memory is not great, but those images and that tour with Judas Priest are actually etched in stone. It was an incredible rocket ride, and I can tell you honestly, we all feel very lucky because there were a lot of our peers that were in bands at that time, and when you have someone like Kim Mitchell that steps in, and Ray Daniels, the manager of Rush, and one week you're at the Nob Hill, and the next week you're at like I'm exaggerating a bit, maybe a couple months later, you're after your record comes out, you're opening up for Judas Priest at the San Francisco Cow Palace in front of 18,000 lunatics, and the lights go out, and the firecrackers are going, and the adrenaline rushes there. And as like, listen, I'm a big music fan as I am a musician. I was at those shows. I was at those shows at Maple Leaf Gardens. I went to see Edgar Winter and Bad Company and Johnny Winter and Supertramp, and the list goes, Van Halen, the list goes on and on. And when those house lights went up, I was in the crowd losing my shit, right? So to be on the stage and be part of that, and the adrenaline rush. And you're absolutely right. Rob Halford told us when we that tour, he said, I'm going to tell you guys, like, our fans are going to be brutal to you. The first 3 songs, they are going to hate you. They're going to throw stuff at you. And you just got to put your head down and plow and get through those first 3 songs. And amazing advice from him. But I'm not even lying when I can tell you, even San Francisco was probably the most memorable. Those M1 firecrackers or M80 firecrackers going off beside our head, and they're throwing tennis balls at us and cutlery and flipping in the bird, and yelling Saxon, we want Saxon. And then, at 3 songs in, they're like, I kind of like Conan. These guys are good. And then we get a freaking encore or something, So, but it was... And a big learning lesson for us. Like, when in Rome, we started changing and dressing in black and just trying to fit in, because Coney Hatch was nowhere near as heavy as Judas Priest, but the showmanship that was displayed by Judas Priest night after night, and how tight they were, and watching them perform and work the audience, for a young band like Coney Hatch to watch that and be part of it, was such a great growing experience. So by the time the next year we were out in front of Iron Maiden, we were quite a bit more prepared, And then when we played with Crocus and Accept and on and on, and what a pinch me moment for me to play with a bunch of my open up for Ted Nugent and Cheap Trick, and these were bands that I read about in Circus Magazine and had their records. So I just couldn't. Half the time I couldn't even believe it when I was in those scenarios going, oh my God, I just met Edgar Winter at the soundboard, before we go on. And I was just like, how did this even happen to me? So those are really great memories, and very definitive too, you got to get your act together to be sharing a stage with any of those bands, or you're quickly booed off, but we had a lot of stuff thrown at us, I can tell you that, and I'm still here to tell you that we made it.
So you guys probably got a new wardrobe on that tour with everybody throwing stuff at you, eh? Like t-shirts and hats and balls and all kinds of stuff. Well,
and some of the other more fun stuff were bras and panties. Let's not leave those out. Those came on the stage too. That was much better than getting a firecracker in the head,
So, oh man. So from Kim Mitchell, obviously now we'll move into Out of Hand, which you said was produced by Max Norman. Sounded a little more polished. A lot of great tracks as well on that one. I mean, Carl opening up with Don't Say Make Me, yourself with Some Like It Hot and Fallen Angel. I mean, a lot of good rockin' stuff, Too Far Gone. Such a great record. I always wondered, you and Carl kind of divvied up the vocals. Is there versions on demos of Andy Curran singing Don't Say Make Me and Carl singing Some Like It Hot? or was it just this is my thing with my lyrics? I'm singing it. Like, how did all that dynamic work with you guys? I always wondered that.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a good question, and I'll tell you guys that even going back to the debut when we auditioned Carl, and we thought, okay, we got to get this guy, we got to integrate him into the band. And I said, I've written a song called Devil's Deck, and I think you should sing that. That might be one of the only times that I sort of handed a song off to Carl in the early days. But you're absolutely right, Deke. In terms of whoever was singing on it usually was a big part of the writing on it. But it was quite collaborative. A lot of the songs like Don't Say Make Me, I would have been in on a lot of the music on something like that. Same with Devil's Deck and some of the heavier things. I think, if they sound heavy, chances are I had my mitts in it. It wasn't until we got to Friction where there were absolutely songs that were written that I was supposed to sing. A lot of politics, the record company saying, hey, we think the band could be a lot more popular if you had one lead singer. It's kind of confusing that you've got two lead singers. So in the spirit of thinking that it might help the band be more successful, I took a serious back seat on that Friction record, only singing one of the songs. That was a very, very tough pill for me to swallow at the time. Did not like being on sort of the receiving end of, okay, Curran, okay, you're not going to be singing as much anymore. And there was a lot of politics involved, So looking back on that record, probably for me personally, not a very enjoyable experience for those reasons that I've cited. But we recorded at Le Studio in Morin Heights, which was unbelievable to be there. And same studio that the Police and Rush and Phil Collins and all these amazing bands recorded at Morin Heights, just north of Montreal. But 9 times out of 10, whoever was the vocalist was usually the guy that probably brought the seed of the idea into the room to work on it. But that all changed with Friction, and there was a lot of friction between the band at that point. It was aptly titled. There was a lot of turmoil, and if you've ever had a relationship that you kind of really still like the girl that you're dating, but it ain't gonna last, and it was starting to feel like that by the time Friction was rolling around.
If I may state the obvious, the record company was wrong about one vocalist. I personally am a big fan of bands that have multiple vocalists because it gives the albums more variety.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, let's talk about the biggest band in the world, the Beatles, really. And they had multiple vocalists. I never, ever listened to a Beatles record going, oh, I wish Paul was singing more, or John. I was like, this is awesome, So, we were on Polygram at that time, and there was a lot of looking over the shoulder and look what Bon Jovi's doing, and you can see a clear path. Bon Jovi and Coney Hatch got signed at the exact same time, and we all know what happened with that story. I mean, they picked a real good horse that they bet on there, but the priority, you could feel the priorities shifting from the label itself, and by the time. I don't know if Carl ever told this story, but this is a true story. When we got to Texas and we were on tour with Crocus and Accept, or it was one of those bands, and the record label said, we're going to take you out to dinner tonight, and it was John Cougar Mellencamp's brother that took us out. His name was Ted Mellencamp, and a really good guy. And I'll never forget this, boys, because this is like a crazy rock and roll story. So we're in the middle of the tour thinking life is great, whatever, we knew that there was issues. We knew that we weren't blowing up, let's say, but so we're in the middle of the meal and Ted says, it's really too bad, man, that the label's dropped you. I really liked you guys, and I guess the ride's over. And we literally found out over a dinner that our label had dropped us, and our manager didn't tell us. Nobody told us. And we were all white. We all looked at each other and went, what next? Oh my God. Our US label had dropped us. Anthem Records hadn't dropped us, but that was a big part of trying to be an international act. So at that point, we found out that we had no US deal.
Actually, Carl did write about that in his book, about you guys meeting Ted Mellencamp and having dinner and going through that. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
Dropping the bomb.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah,
But,
you can't make that stuff up.
No.
No, you can't. But isn't it kind of like, I've never been part of the music business, but didn't you find that kind of weird that 3 albums in, they finally come to you and they say, maybe we'll just let Carl sing most of the tunes and you kind of just chill out and we'll give you the one rock song, the wrong side of town. You can just get your yayas out and then, like, didn't you just kind of like really? Like, I've already been part of 2 albums and.
Yeah.
Formed the band.
It was a tough pill to swallow. I mean, Dave Ketchum and I were the co-founders of Coney Hatch. So it's like telling, not quite, but imagine telling the CEO, yeah, you're not going to be in charge of the company anymore, right? They gave the dirty job to Max Norman, and Max Norman, the producer, pulled me aside and said, look, in his Cockney accent, look, mate, I'm getting a lot of pressure from the label to make this thing happen, and I'm sorry to tell you, but they want Carl to sing more, and it's a shame, but are you gonna give it a shot? And I remember sucking it up and going, yeah, but just going, what is, I know this sounds maybe a little bit arrogant, but what is going on with my band? That's exactly how it felt to me, because I started that thing. So it was part and parcel of me just knocking Coney Hatch on the head and going, that's it for this ride. That led to me putting together the first solo record, and going on my own, which was pretty scary to just walk away from Coney Hatch after all those years and try it on my own, but quite rewarding on the other side when we get nominated for 2 Juno Awards and I win one of them. And it was kind of like a shot in the arm going, okay, Curran, I guess you can do this on your own. So the aftermath of the ashes of Coney Hatch, it definitely toughened me up and thickened my skin. But to take the leap of faith and kind of leave the umbrella of Coney Hatch and go out on my own, that was a big step for me. But as I said, felt pretty rewarding after all was said and done.
Okay, so after no pun intended, going through all that friction, you did try to keep Coney going a bit longer. Like, you had Phil Naro, I believe,
and Kevin LeBrain,
who's now James LeBrain and Dream Theater, and then I think you finally said, "Okay, that's."
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and that was part and parcel of Steve Shelsky and I trying to keep the stitches on, and for anybody that's not in a band but maybe has some kind of a partnership, when you start taking away the original elements of it, and the first straw that broke the camel's back was Dave Ketchum no longer being in the band, so the dynamics changed. Barry Connors is a great drummer, but the vibe changed instantly with the band. And then when Carl left, those are big shoes to fill. Kevin at the time, now he's James LeBrain, was one of the first bands that he was in Coney Hatch, and it didn't last very long. We put together a couple shows, and the management came out and said, "No, we don't like it. Go get another singer." And then Phil Naro, I love Phil Naro. I'm a big fan of Talus. I thought Phil would be good. Same sort of response from the management. We don't feel this is right. You haven't found the right combination, and it was a real sort of turning, pivotal moment for me to go, do I bang my head against the wall and try to find another singer, or do I just go, screw it, it's time, the writing's on the wall? So both those guys, I haven't talked to James or Kevin in a very long time, but Phil Naro and I are very close for a long time, and it's a shame it didn't work out. But like I said, the kind of the reward on the other side with putting together my solo band and doing all of that stuff, it was like, okay, well, I guess it was meant to be. Not so bad being on my own,
No, well, you must have taken some pleasure in winning that Juno. Did you let Max Norman know that you won Most Promising Vocalist?
Well, it was a bit of a FU to a lot of people who didn't believe in me, or maybe or maybe thought I was the second fiddle guy. So it was like, really, eh? I guess I guess maybe I did have some chops, right? So it
Yeah.
was like I'm just not that type of a guy. I don't try to rub stuff in people's faces, but believe me, the thought occurred to me many times. Oh, okay. Well, for the guy who wasn't good enough to sing on the Friction record, well, guess what? Here he is.
I wanted to
I'm
ask you a
just plugging
question. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, boys. I'm
I
just plugging my phone in.
Okay,
It's running
no
a
worries.
little bit low. One
I just
second
wanted
here.
to
I'm
ask
gonna
you a
get some juice.
question. Sure. If you can still hear me.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, Mike. I lost you there, buddy. Could you say that again?
It's okay. Yep. You did a British accent earlier. I happen to know for a fact that you are a huge fan of a certain film where they turn the volume up to 11 with a lot of British accents in it. I'm just curious, what's your favorite, what scene in Spinal Tap do you relate to the most? That movie came out right when Coney Hatch was starting. What scenes do you identify with?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and maybe one of the reasons I can do a pretty good British accent is my parents were both born and raised in a suburb of London called Muswell Hill. They were the when I went to London my very first time, they took me to Coney Hatch, which was the
Right.
lunatic asylum, a mental hospital, right? And so I grew. My two sisters were born there, and I grew up around. I call them tea bags. I grew up around tea bags everywhere, right? But let me think about this for a sec, because two of my favorite scenes for sure, when Nigel is showing his guitar collection and he tells the guy, don't even touch that. Still got the old taggers on. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Another moment that's a little bit, close to home, where the band breaks up and he says, we shan't play together ever again. We shan't play together, right? That's awesome. But I guess for sure the Stonehenge scene, when the Stonehenge comes down, and that's got to be my favorite.
I noticed on the inside of this album here, I believe you credited the drummer Glenn Milchum as Stumpy Joe.
Yeah.
Which is a great reference. I just want to ask you a quick question. Yeah. If I could just ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Glenn Milchum, one of my favorite drummers. He went on to a long career with Blue Rodeo, which is very, very much different from the kind of rock that you guys play. Did that surprise you that he went in that direction?
A little bit at the time, but my band was in a bit of state of limbo again. Like Alert Records hadn't agreed to do a second record with me. And was offered the job, and I thought, okay, that's a nice steady gig. But many years later, and I took it as a compliment, he said to me, Andy, one of the reasons I loved playing with you is because I played as loud and as hard as I could, and never once did you say, hey, can you tone it down? So I think, that might have been a polite way of saying that they've got him very much in, with Blue Rodeo, he can't do what he did in my band, but
right.
and the Stumpy Joe was definitely a Spinal Tap-ish nickname for him, and he's still a great friend of mine, and he carved out an amazing career with Blue Rodeo. And I first met him when Glenn and I were part of a rhythm section for Malcolm Burns from Boys Brigade. He did a solo record, and that's where I met Glenn and fell in love with his drumming and thought, oh my God, I gotta be in a band with this guy.
He's great. I thank you for answering that question. Deke, I'll let you handle the next one.
Yeah, so Andy, so you just mentioned about like not working out with Alert Records after your solo debut. So then you move on and put out this fantastic record, Scatterbrain. Love it, just love it. I mean, it came out at a time when the musical climate was shifting, and you kind of kept some of the old school rock, but you also kind of adapted to a bit of change. Like one song on there, "Goodbye So Long," that is such a killer tune. I love how it's just so atmospheric, especially as it fades out towards the end. I mean, it's got everything. Killer chords. I mean, your guitar players, Simon Byerly and Michael Bukowski. I'm sorry if I got his name wrong. And Eddie Z on drums. That was a killer band. Like, I remember seeing the CD in town, which obviously I bought, and then Kiss My Boots I seen on Much Music, and then I didn't hear from you again. Like, what happened there? Because, man, I wanted you guys to bring Solo 69 to Thunder Bay, and it never happened.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this, boys. I have 10% left on my phone battery. I'm gonna try again on my laptop. I'm gonna say pause there. You guys talk. I'm gonna try to log in again because and then I will answer that question on why we never got to Thunder Bay. All right, it's a good story.
Okay.
So let me leave. I'm gonna try to log back in, and hopefully we'll be good on this. Give me 2 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
Sure,
Perfect. We're getting so many great questions here on the side too. I just wish I could have asked them all, but
it's like
maybe we can ask some of these questions. Andy, and is that true? I don't know. That could be true. And then in regards to Dan Gallagher, you've won a 2-slice toaster.
You know what's awesome, Mike? This is the first time we've ever done an intermission.
Yes. Well, not exactly. I think we did one with Brent Jensen last time. I think we took a break.
Oh, did we?
I think we took a drink break. It's possible. I know we did with Marco, the Contrarian. Here's another one. I didn't realize that Andy was on that track. There was another one up here. Here it is. I didn't know about this either. Collaborations with the Trailer Park Boys. I didn't know about this stuff. So this might be good stuff to, if however much we can squeeze in, I don't know. But yes, Dan Gallagher's catchphrase, "You've won a 2-slice toaster." That was a great show, Test Pattern. Remember Test Pattern?
Oh, yeah. Watched it every night at 6:30.
Yeah. Same here. Every night, never missed it. The helmets that you had to smack.
Gallagher was one of my favorite guys interviewing people. I mean, the time he slapped on Gene Simmons' makeup when Stanley was there. That was.
I'm not doing that, Kevin. We have too many people watching.
This is a respectable show tonight, folks.
Yeah, too many people watching tonight. They were too busy finding cassettes in the Thunder Bay landfill. That could be. I know exactly. You know, it's funny that you said that about the Gene Simmons makeup, because I was going to ask you, what do you think the most definitive Dan Gallagher moment is? And of course it is the interview with Paul Stanley where he wore the Gene makeup.
There was that one, and then there was also the one where he was talking to Matt Sorum and Duff in Toronto in their trailer.
I posted that a few weeks ago.
And Axel shows up on his pedal bike. And
one more. Dan Gallagher driving Slaughter around Toronto in his dad's minivan.
We took him for slices of pizza, didn't
Took him for slices of pizza. And they ordered, I'll never forget, 4 Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And it's kind of funny because, you know, pineapple today is considered the controversial ingredient on a pizza. And here's Dan Gallagher. They're walking into a pizza joint, and Dan Gallagher, "Guys, you guys like Hawaiian? 4 Hawaiian." And I'm just like, no, anything but Hawaiian.
He did it so they would remember that.
Yeah. It took him to a bunch of clubs and stuff like that. I can't remember if they ended up at the El Macambo.
Yeah.
Dar met Dan Gallagher at Lakehead. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
How many beers were you in, Dar?
Oh, man. Deke, each one of those live albums that we're going to be getting is uniquely signed, stamped, and numbered.
You got it. Now, that's why I told you to get on it, man.
Yeah. So I believe I jumped on it in time. If I'm not mistaken, I jumped on it in time.
Oh, you did. You did. You ordered it the same day as I did.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Dar had 10 beer that night.
That's a starter kit.
Andy is trying to connect, but it is saying devices not connected. I'll send him a message if I can.
So he just said one text.
Oh, he did. Okay. I can't type very well. I've got some carpal tunnel going on in my right arm. By the time you see me next week, I should be rocking a black arm brace. Metal. Very metal. Speaking of metal, so there's the tour that Coney Hatch opened for Maiden.
Yep.
Man, what a gig that would be, eh? Opening for Maiden with all of the stage stuff that they had going on. He's having the same audio issue. Okay.
Yeah, I see the messages popping up here. Yeah.
Hawaiian pizza was invented in Canada. There's something I didn't know. And Heapster69 would like to know if we can get a new Coney Hatch album with Kim producing. That would be sort of the ultimate question, I think. I wish we were not in lockdown so I could go and find some Coney Hatch.
Just order it
Kevin.
online.
Sorry?
Just order it online through the website.
Well, Kevin, I had to get all the Coney Hatch albums in short order here, and I managed to get them all online. Did as much shopping local as I could, which, admittedly, it's not easy, but I think if you're going to do some shopping for some Coney Hatch, I'm going to just plug Encore Records in Kitchener real quick. They carry a lot of Rock Candy reissues. In fact, if you go on the Encore Records website and type in Rock Candy, you'll be able to see all their reissues that they have available. Why did Coney Hatch never play Thunder Bay's Blues Fest, especially when Thumper is from Thunder Bay? That's a good question, too. LPs are not... LPs. Go digital, easy. Man.
Easy.
Digital. These vinyl snobs. I'm sure if you go on your website of choice, you can find a beautiful digital copy of one of those great Coney Hatch albums with the liner notes. I mean, these are the Rock Candy reissues. If you get an old vintage vinyl, that's great. But you are not going to get the bonus tracks. You're not going to get the liner notes. You are not going to get the photos. I mean, these are...
But you get the original.
Well, he's got a signed copy, though. Oh, Andy's trying again. I think we might have him this time. I think we might.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Is this working? There we go. I take it that you couldn't get the laptop working and we're pretty much on a dead battery.
Freeze frame.
I'm not sure if he's having difficulty. Kevin is complaining that vinyl is king.
Attaboy,
CDs are for children, and he doesn't want the bonus tracks. Okay, fine. I think these bonus tracks are worth having personally. As a new fan, I thought that the whole album is rather seamless with the bonus tracks. Just my opinion.
Good. No, it's good. A good way to get real caught up right away, for sure.
Okay, let's see if we've got... I feel crappy about this. I wish this wasn't happening.
Yeah, you and I both, pal. It's technology at times.
Technology. Damn. Oh, he's plugged in his cell phone to try again. I don't know. We might... I'll take bonus tracks on vinyl reissues. Well, that's something I'd like to see too.
He just won't give up, that guy.
No. I mean, I get it. I understand the appeal of vinyl, but I'd rather get all the songs, all the liner notes, the photos, the stories, everything. And these are great value. These Rock Candy. I know you like the Rock Candy too.
Yeah, I like the magazine.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah. Oh crap! That's too bad. He's going to try reconnecting again, I'm assuming. Well, Deke, has Andy sufficiently answered all of your questions so far? Are you satisfied with being able to ask him all these great questions?
Thanks. I I got some more because we got to talk about some of all the
Solo
stuff he's been releasing lately. But
yeah.
I mean, he left me on a cliffhanger about Soho 69, man.
I know. Okay, I think we got him back. I think. Maybe not. Crap.
No, we had a good run for about an hour there.
We did. We had a great run for about an hour there. If we can't get Andy back on, maybe we can get him to see if he can answer your question via Messenger or something like that. But
maybe we'll see if we can reschedule him down the road where
perhaps
better.
Yeah.
Something. But
try some troubleshooting.
The main thing is, he was willing to come on and give it a Hail Mary.
The show is great when it is working. That is 100% the truth. Hey, Andy, if it is not working out, just sent him a message. If it's not working out, it's okay because we had a great chat. I hope he can get it working out. But we did have a great chat. That was a really fun chat. And the best chats leave you hungry for more.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Yeah. Totally. I know we had Sean Kelly watching earlier, and we've been kind of on the ropes trying to get Sean on the show for a few months now, and I'm sure it'll happen at some point in the future. But like you said, he is a busy man.
Oh yeah, he's a real. And
one of the best things about this current Coney Hatch lineup is, yes, it is unfortunate he couldn't get Steve, but Sean Kelly. I mean, if you're going to have anybody as a quote-unquote replacement guitar player, Sean Kelly is brilliant, and he knows the songs, he knows the tunes, and he's so versatile.
Oh, totally. I remember when they played here, and I took T-Bone with me because he knows my deal with Coney Hatch going back 40 years, and me never seeing them live until that time. And when he came out, when they played, T-Bone even said, he goes, if you never told me that Sean Kelly was a new addition, I would think he was there the whole time, because that guy just blends in with everything, right? He just kind of just gives it, right?
He's been in so many different bands.
Oh, you know what? I got a message from Andy. He goes, shall we try to do part 2 of the interview a week from tonight? I'll make sure I'm on a landline.
The only catch there will be if Mike Fraser wants to do it next week, which I won't know until Monday.
Well, maybe we could do Andy do a double-double.
We could do a double-double. Tell him yeah. Tell him yeah, and we'll see what happens with Mike Fraser. We might have to do 2 shows next week. Deke, that means you got to have a big cup of coffee, buddy.
Yeah, I think that would be our best option.
Okay.
Andy trying to connect on and off and cutting out. I'm sure he probably feels pretty bad for us. But
well, tell him thank you so much anyway.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, I mean, if wouldn't that be wild if we had Mike Fraser and Andy Curran on next week?
Yeah, there we go. We can set something up here.
No kidding. Well, I guess that's it for the Andy part of today's show. But it was only part 1. We'll call it part 1.
I'm just telling him. Sorry, just give me a second here.
Yeah. We could do that too.
Because if Mike gets back to you, phrase, you could always say, you know what, can you come on 30 or 9 or 8 or whatever,
yeah,
and just be like double header Friday night kind of.
No, you did not hear that, T-Bone, but Mike Fraser is going to be on again with us soon, and possibly as early as next week. I'm just waiting to hear back from him. He said he's working on something. I don't know what he's working on, and maybe he can't even tell us what he's working on. But Mike Fraser just finished the new Lee Aaron album, and whatever he's working on right now, he doesn't know yet if he's going to be free on Friday. If Mike Fraser is free on Friday, we will have him on next week.
The thing is, I think T-Bone's setting us up for a scoop. I think actually Mike Fraser's producing the new T-Bone solo album.
That is possible, because if I remember correctly, Mike Fraser did say something positive about T-Bone's LeBrain Train theme song.
Yeah, something about, hey, he ripped me off.
Well, for those of you who might just be, oh, it's a good thing we didn't give up. I think he's just tried again. We'll see what happens here. We were just about to try to wrap up here, but maybe we'll be okay. Yes, breaking news. Mike Fraser is going to be producing the new T-Bone album. Hey, Andy! Oh, bummer. Bummer.
Just tell him, Andy, we will shoot for next Friday at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I can barely hear you, boys.
Oh.
If you...
Oh, darn. We've got really bad connection.
Yeah.
Thanks for trying, Andy. I really appreciate you trying so
Oh,
hard.
Okay.
Above and beyond the Call of Duty, I hope you can hear me. If you can't, you can watch the YouTube link later and hear what we were saying the whole time that you couldn't hear us. But it's a real bummer about the technical difficulties. But we did have a pretty much a good solid hour with Andy. Answered a whole ton of our questions about the first 3 Coney Hatch albums, a little bit about his first solo album, a little bit about Soho 69. And I guess if we can get him back next week, we'll pick up at Soho 69, go into Caramel and everything, Leisure World, everything that followed. Some of the stuff that he's done with box sets. We've got the Rush and the Max Webster box sets behind me. I believe he's involved with all of that stuff.
Well, he's got a new band going.
And he's got a new band going. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff to talk. Plus Coney. Coney.
With a guitar player that we all know very well.
You're talking about this new band?
Mm-hmm.
Who's this guitar player you speak of? Is this a secret?
No, it's kind of out there. His new band is called Envy and None. N-O-N-E.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got Alex Lifeson playing on some tracks.
That's right. I mentioned that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that mentioned.
So we'll hit him up on that too.
Whew. Well, that was a pretty wicked evening. What do you think? I mean, the technical difficulties aside.
He said, "So sorry. Let's schedule part 2 next week from Landline, Soho, and beyond."
Yeah, Soho and beyond. We'll do Soho. We'll do Leisure World. We'll do the Lifeson project. We'll talk about these box sets behind me. All kinds of stuff.
We'll talk more Coney. We got to talk about the Coney Hatch 4 record.
Yeah, we didn't even touch that. He just the only thing he mentioned, the only thing we got to touch on was that he wanted it to sound heavy like the first album. So we can talk about that. And another thing, we didn't get to talk about these albums that he wrote the lyrics on.
No, and like T-Bone's question about digging a hole.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because Digging a Hole has a pretty driving bass line in it.
The Earl of the Eighth Note.
Yeah. And you know what, Mikey? I think, if we get Fraser for next Friday night, I think it'll be okay with Fraser because he's on a 3-hour time difference than us.
Yeah. Well, when I shoot Fraser an email, I'll just mention that we had some issues with Andy that we have to do a part 2 with Andy, so we got a double book. But we do an hour with one guy, an hour with the next guy. Oh, thank you, Ralph. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Appreciate it. Sorry about the technical issues. Yeah, I suppose the freeze frame did look like hardwired self-destruct. That's pretty funny. Oh, shoot. Well, that's a bit of a bummer of an ending, but a great interview while it was rolling.
Well, you know what? I mean, the fact that he's willing to come on and finish up, that tells you about the man himself, right? So
yeah.
We're pretty lucky to have a guest like that,
This is what I like. Dar is looking at it as a positive thing with a cliffhanger ending. And thanks for hanging out, Heapster69. Hope you can show up next week when we do part 2.
Heapster69 is Kevin Hewley, who's a big Coney fan.
Oh, that's the gentleman that... I just added him as a friend. Well, hello.
Yeah, so he sent a message actually when I was reading Andy stuff in Messenger saying, "Hey man, it's me." So shout out. I think his WordPress site is Outside Rock. KJ's Outside Rock.
I just subscribed. Yeah. Today he posted something about Black Sabbath. Top 10 from the Dio era. Ooh, geez, he's got a signed copy of Dehumanizer.
So that's
pretty cool.
We need to throw him some kudos because he about a month or so ago he did a real great phone interview with Andy. And if you guys want to check it out, go read it. I mean, I think I might have even nicked a few things off of him, but I tried to get the original ones in. But
we can talk about that a little bit more next week. Maybe get his site, put a little text thing up where you can see his site. But that's cool. Yeah, today he posted Black Sabbath, the top 10, which is really interesting because, everybody's been talking Sabbath lately. You've been posting Sabbath. Lana Taramai, who isn't here tonight, has been posting Sabbath. Mm-hmm. Another young lady that I follow, Angie Moon, just posted her top 10 Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And we did with Marco the Contrarian several weeks ago. We did our top 10 Sabbath. So it's been a very Sabbathy spring.
Actually, Kevin, I think posted 3 things. He did top 10 Canadian albums from 1981. And then he did an April Wine review today, and plus the Sabbath one. I mean, the guy's a writing machine, all in one day. So,
lots of great comments.
I got to go back and I got to go back and read his reviews. But yeah, we'll definitely let you know, pal. Don't worry.
Thank you. Yeah. So it looks like Andy is pretty much confirmed for next week. It's just a matter of the technical difficulties, and we'll be back next week to talk about the later years. Ooh, that's a nice suggestion. Nick Walsh from Slick Toxic. Well, you know what, John? We are relatively new on the scene here. We call ourselves the small fish in the big pond. And we've asked a number of really cool guests to come on. And we had Greg Fraser from Brighton Rock and Stormforce on in the fall. We had Mike Fraser, the world-renowned producer engineer, on. And, sometimes we ask these guys and they don't get back to us, which is fine. I get it. We're just 2 yahoos working out of our houses here. We have day gigs. But that's a great suggestion. And I would love to talk to pretty much anybody from Slick Toxic. And I don't know if you were watching earlier, but Dan from Svengali and Varga was on. I asked him if he'd like to be on the show at some point. Last week, I was just doing a regular old show about Easter, and Dave Lismy from the Four Horsemen happened to be watching, and he asked to be on the show. So I would like to, I hope we can get all of those guys, Brian. It's pretty funny.
Well, if you get Lismy on, you'll definitely have to ask him how that tour with the Buffalo Brothers going across Canada was. I'm sure that was just a complete...
Wow, look at that. This first of all, I will say that Dar is a little bit biased. He is the brother of our house musical guru T-Bone. But I do appreciate the comment that we're the best podcast on the net. You know what? I'm going to use that as our tag. I'm going to put that somewhere. Best podcast on the net. Dar. Dar.
The coolest thing about Dar, Rug, and T-Bone is I've known all 3 of those guys since 75.
That's amazing. You know what? I'm going to put tagline. You guys have the best podcast on the net. Dar. Dar is a little drunk. T-Bone. Oh, shit. I don't know. Deke, do you have any time to hang around, or you want to hit the road?
Well, I think I'll probably just check out and we'll wrap it up and we'll see what the next few days brings with Mike Fraser. But at least we know we got a guest for next Friday night for sure.
I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to unbox these, but I'm not going to open them unless I can do it in front of an audience. So I'm not going to do it tonight. We've worked pretty hard tonight. We've worked pretty hard.
We had to work through technical glitches.
So I'm not gonna do that unboxing tonight. We'll save it for another week. Obviously, next week's lining up to be a busy one, but we'll see. We'll get around to it.
Well, next week will be another great week because we still have a lot more to talk with Andy, and the fact that he's game to be coming back is going to be pretty cool. So everybody, watch your Facebook page. We're gonna have more Andy Curran.
Yeah, all written. 100%. 100%. We will be back next week with more Andy Curran. Part 2. I guess I'll just say goodnight then. It's been aside from the technical difficulties, I had a wonderful night.
I was still great. I mean, even with Andy cutting in and out, I mean, he
Yeah.
still gave us a lot of insight. I mean, he answered all our questions, and it wasn't like, really?
What a kind and patient guest as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was forthright and honest. I mean, he talked about Friction, the album Friction, and how it went south for him, and he wasn't a happy camper. I mean, he could have said, "Oh, I just, took one for the team, blah blah." Like he said, "No, man, I'm so he's given us some real inside rock info. So I hope you people out there appreciate it."
Yeah. Hey, it may be a quick message to Mr. T-Bone who's watching. Can you just modify that graphic that you made so that it says next week's date and part 2? That would be super. That would be super, Mr. T-Bone. And I really do appreciate all these comments. T-Bone says that Dar is a little drunk, but I know he means it. So I really appreciate all the great comments. I'm going to say goodnight. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. And next week we'll be back with Andy Curran, part 2.
Dude.
Cheers, Deke. Have a great night, buddy.
You too. Take care, bud.
Talk to you soon.
You
Ciao.
bet, man.
Ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut.